Hello, West African military rulers, subscribers, on this early evening, Saturday, the 20th of June 2020. I wanted just to have a short video on an issue that I posted to mark the anniversary of a terrorist event that occurred in Italy in 1972 on May the 31st. This was a terrorist attack that claimed the lives of 3 carabinieri who had been lured to a car, and the bomb exploded, killing all 3. And the news later that day, the subsequent newspaper reports, all were basically claiming that these men were the victims of an attack by the extreme left-wing terror organization of Italy in the 1970s, known as the Brigate Rosse, the Red Brigades. And it seemed an open and shut case, apart from the left-wing press, the anarchist press, who had their doubts. So the point about posting that was just to give you an idea of what military intelligence of certain countries get up to, if not all, at some point. So I want to talk about military intelligence and the covert operation of what you call a false flag. What is a false flag? A false flag is basically when one body, basically a state entity, organizes for a terror incident to occur, and the result of that terror incident, which normally will involve burning buildings, demolished buildings through explosives, dead bodies of children, women, men, all sorts of people. The result, therefore, is a change in the public mood, one of fear, one of outrage, and one in which the people are looking somewhere for protection. And who do they go to for protection? They go to the state. Yet that state is the very entity which has organized this event, which has cost the lives of people who are supposed to be protected by that state and people who pay taxes to that state. So this may sound quite obviously an extraordinary thing, perhaps unbelievable, but history shows that not only is it believable in theory, it has also happened in practice. There have been many examples. Many of them you're not able to prove them, or sometimes you can only prove them long after the event, decades following the event. But the case of Peteano that I posted an article of mine that referred to it this past May 31st is an example, an open and shut case where the state of a country, namely that of Italy, arranged for the murders of Italian citizens, in this case police officers who work for the state. And the idea was to create an atmosphere in which the Italian people would go against the left, not just the extreme left, but the socialists, the left of center, mainstream parties, socialist parties, and also the Communist Party, which was very strong in Italy after the post-war era. So this happened in Italy, and who organized it? It was certainly organized by elements within Italian military intelligence. And what they did is they used a neo-fascist organization known as Ordine Novo to carry out this attack, which was supposed to discredit the political left in Italy. Now, before going on with this story and other examples of false flags, it's just worth giving you the context of Italy at this time in history. What happened was that after the Second World War, when Europe was divided between East and West, NATO, the capitalist countries led by the United States, Western Europe to one side, and then the Warsaw Pact, led by the Soviet Union, a communist state, on the other side. And you had this ideological struggle, basically a war, which was called the Cold War, because it wasn't involved in the exchange of gunfire or, God forbid, nuclear weapons. But the Cold War was a time when both the Soviet Union and the United States fought proxy wars across the globe, whether it was staging coups in Chile and Iran, or whether it was fighting wars in Southern Africa, in Angola, or the Horn of Africa, between Ethiopia and Somalia. So that's the kind of the context of the times. Now, how was the Italian state prompted, motivated, or able to pull off such a stunt like this? And reference now has to be made to what is known as the stay-behind secret armies that were created in Europe after the post-war period, during the 1940s and the 1950s. What happened was that basically it came to be recognized that although the threat of nuclear exchange and the end of the world could have occurred between the Soviet Union and the American, NATO and the Warsaw Pact, the best scenario for most people was that that would not happen. If we assume that it was the Warsaw Pact that was going to attack rather than be attacked by NATO, the idea therefore would be that given the preponderance of armored warfare and other conventional devices at the grasp of the Soviet Union and its allies in Eastern Europe, Western Europe would have been overrun, in just a few days of fighting, perhaps a week or two. The whole of Europe would have been conquered by the Warsaw Pact. That is what the military doctrine says. When you attack in numbers, and the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact had that quantity of numbers to overwhelm the military forces of Western Europe, provided they didn't respond. NATO didn't respond with nuclear weapons.